Hello class 10th. Today we will continue with the chapter 2, the Union Executive. Topic is powers of the president. We will discuss the following points. So the objectives of today's topic is military powers, diplomatic powers, emergency powers, discretionary powers, then limitations on the powers of the president. The last is position of the president. Now we will discuss some key terms. Diplomatic powers that allow the president to form and maintain relationship with foreign countries. Number 2, emergency, a serious, unexpected and often dangerous situation requiring immediate action. Number 3, breakdown of the constitutional machinery. This situation arises when a situation in a state reaches to a place that it can no longer rule according to the provision of the Constitution. Number 4, discretionary powers exercised by administrative and legal authorities are permissive and not binding. Number 5, ambassadors, a representative of a specified activity. The last is diplomatic representatives, who are sent by one country to serve as intermediaries between two countries. We have already discussed about executive, legislative, financial and judicial powers of the president in our previous video. Now let's discuss the other powers of the president. Military powers. The President of the Republic of India has been vested with a number of military powers also. He is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of India. The Indian Constitution vests the supreme command of the Indian forces in the President of India. He appoints the chiefs of the three wings of the armed forces subject to certain rules and regulations. He can declare war or conclude peace with any foreign power on the advice of his Council of Ministers. The President is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Armed Forces. The President can declare war or conclude peace on the advice of the Union Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. All the important treaties and contracts are made in the President's name. He appoints the Chief of the Army, the Navy and the Air Force. Diplomatic powers. The President sends ambassadors to other countries. He receives ambassadors and other diplomatic representatives of foreign nations. He enters into treaties and agreements with other nations subject to ratification. Ratification means formal consent by the Parliament. He represents India at international conferences. India is represented at an international forum by President of India. He sends and receives ambassadors. All international treaties and agreements are concluded on behalf of the President subject to giving formal consent by the Parliament. Now, emergency powers. Of all the powers vested in the President of India, emergency powers have the most far-reaching effects. The President can declare three types of emergencies: national, state and financial under Articles 352, 356 and 360 respectively. The emergency powers have the most reaching effects. The President can declare three types of emergency: national, state and financial under Article 352, 356 and 360. First of all, meaning of emergency. Emergency means a failure of a social system to deliver reasonable conditions of life. Now, emergency provisions are borrowed from the Constitution of Germany. National emergency. It can be declared in the whole of India or a part of its territory in case of war or external aggression or armed rebellion. Under Article 352, the President can declare such an emergency only on the basis of a written request by the Union Cabinet headed by the Prime Minister. Such a proclamation must be approved by the Parliament within 1 month. Such an emergency can be imposed for 6 months at a time. It can be extended by 6 months by repeated parliamentary approvals. There is no maximum duration for such an emergency. Under Article 352 of Indian Constitution, the President can declare such an emergency only on the basis of a written request by the Cabinet of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. Such a proclamation must be approved by the Parliament with an at least two-thirds majority within 1 month. It can be imposed for 6 months at a time. The President may revoke at any time. This type of emergency can be called in the event of imminent danger to the national security due to armed rebellion, war, or external aggression. It can be declared over the entire territory of India or any part thereof. National emergency has been declared thrice: Indochina War 1962, India-Pakistan War 1971, Internal Disturbance 1975 to 77 by Indira Gandhi. State emergency or President's rule. If the President is fully satisfied on the basis of the report of the Governor of the concerned state, then the constitutional machinery has broken down or the government cannot be carried out according to the provisions of the Constitution. He can proclaim a state of emergency in the state under Article 356. It is referred to as President's Rule. Such an emergency must be approved by the Parliament within a period of 2 months. Such an emergency can be imposed from 6 months to a maximum period of 3 years with repeated parliamentary approvals every 6 months. If the emergency needs to be extended beyond a period of 3 years, this can be achieved by a constitutional amendment as happened in case of Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir. If the President is satisfied based on the report of the Governor of the concerned state or from other sources that the governance in the state cannot be carried out according to the provision in the Constitution, he or she may declare an emergency in the state under Article 356. This emergency was declared on the basis of internal disturbance. It is imposed for an initial period of 6 months and can last for a maximum period of 3 years with repeated parliamentary approval every 6 months. During such an emergency, the President can take over the entire work of the executive and the Governor administers the state in the name of the President. The Article 356 was used for the first time in Punjab on 20th June 1951. Punjab was under presidential rule for 5 continuous years from 1987 to 1992. Latest president's rule imposed on 19 June 2018 as Jammu and Kashmir, and in 2019 it was split into 2 union territories, Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Union Territory of Ladakh. Financial emergency. Under Article 360 of the Constitution, President can proclaim a financial emergency when the financial stability or credit feasibility of the nation or of any part of its territory is threatened or has occurred or is likely to occur. Such an emergency must be approved by the Parliament within 2 months by a simple majority. It has not been declared in India so far. The implications and effects of any of these proclaimed are discussed here under. Financial emergency due to threat to the financial stability or credit of India. Article 360 of our Constitution empowers the President to invoke financial emergency. Such an emergency must be approved by the Parliament within 2 months by a simple majority. But this emergency has not been declared in India so far. Emergency due to any threat to the security of India, Article 352. The effects of the emergency due to an external aggression or threat thereof or due to armed rebellion as matter of fact are the most far-reaching. They can be briefly summed up in the following. Fundamental rights like freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom of movement, etc. are suspended, which are otherwise guaranteed by the Constitution. Most importantly, during emergency, The citizens cannot move the court for enforcement of their right, that is, the right to constitutional remedies, may be suspended. The effect of the national emergency due to an external aggression or threat or due to armed rebellion are as follows. 6 fundamental rights mentioned under Article 19 are suspended. The President may suspend right to move to the court, that is, right to constitutional remedies for enforcement of fundamental rights, that is, Article 32 and 226. The federal nature of our political setup is changed into unitary as the states are obliged to carry out the instructions of the center. The national emergency modifies the federal system of government to a unitary one, as the states are fully come under the center. The parliament gets the powers to enact laws even on subjects mentioned in the state list. The central executive assumes almost dictatorial powers. Parliament gets the powers to make laws on 66 subjects of the state list. In this emergency, the center have full control. Breakdown of the constitutional machinery, Article 356. If the constitutional machinery in a state is deadlocked, resulting in constitutional emergency in that state, the following can be the consequences. Government of the state is taken over by the president, which he carries on with the help of the governor of that state. The president may dissolve the Vidhan Sabha of the state and dismiss the Council of Ministers, or he may keep the assembly as well as the Council of Ministers in suspended animation. In both the cases, the Union Parliament is entitled to pass laws even on all the subjects of the state list for that particular state. Even the annual budget of that state is presented to and passed by the Parliament. The constitutional machinery in a state breakdown means when a situation in a state reaches to a place that it can no longer rule according to the provision of the constitution. During such an emergency, the president can take over the entire work of the executive and the governor administers the state in the name of the president. The legislative assembly can be dissolved or may remain in a suspended animation. The parliament makes laws on the 66 subjects of the state list. All money bills have to be referred to the parliament for approval. In this situation, ministers of the state legislature do not perform actions in state. Financial emergency, Article 360. When the president is satisfied that the financial position of the country is in a bad form and there is a threat to India's economic stability, he may declare a state of financial emergency in the country. This declaration has the following effects. Number 1. The salaries and allowances of the public services under the union as well as the states can be reduced during its operation. If the President of India is satisfied that a situation has arisen due to which the financial stability or credit of India or any part of its territory is threatened, he or she can declare the financial emergency on the advice of the Council of Ministers. During the financial emergency, salaries and allowances of all or any class of person serving in the state can be reduced. The salaries of even the judges of the Supreme Court and those of the High Courts can be reduced during the operation of the emergency. The President may issue directions for the reduction of salaries and allowances of all or any class of persons serving in the Union, judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. Recently, all the members of Parliament, including the President, Vice President and the state governors, have decided to accept a 30% pay cut for the next year. But as we know that the financial emergency has not been declared in India till now. The President may order the state to submit money bills to him for his assent. All money bills or other financial bills that come up for the President consideration after being passed by the state legislature can be reserved. The President can issue instructions to the states in regard to the utilization of the funds in the manner he thinks fit. The President can issue instructions to the state regarding the correct utilization of funds. He is free to adopt all such measures which he deems necessary for the restoration of the country's financial stability. The President may appoint a finance commission to suggest methods to get out of the financial crisis. He may adopt suitable measures to restore financial stability in the light of recommendations of the Finance Commission. The President has full power to adopt the preventive measures for the restoration of the country's financial stability. In this regard, he can also appoint a finance commission. Now, fact file. Financial emergency has not been declared in India till now. We have already discussed in financial emergency. Financial emergency has not been declared in India till now. National emergency has been declared thrice. Indo-China War 1962, Indo-Pakistan War 1971, Internal Disturbance 1975 to 77 by Indira Gandhi. This we have already discussed in the national emergency also. Constitutional emergency has been imposed many times. First was in 1951 in Punjab. This also we have already discussed in state emergency. Discretionary powers. Normally, the President acts in accordance with the advice of the Council of Ministers, but in certain cases, the President has to exercise her own discretion while discharging his duties. The President may withhold his assent to a bill or may send it back for reconsideration of the Houses if it is not a money bill. The President acts with the advice of the Council of Ministers, but in certain cases, the President has his or her own discretion. Like, the President has discretionary power when he returns a bill, not money bill, for reconsideration of the Parliament. If the bill is passed again by the Parliament with or without amendments and presented to the President, it is obligatory for him to give his assent. The Constitution does not prescribe any time limit within which the President is to declare his assent or refusal or to return the bill. By reason of this absence of a time limit, the President may simply keep the bill on his desk for an indefinite time, referred to as a pocket veto. No time limit is mentioned in Constitution that how long President can hold the bill. This situation is called pocket veto. The President neither ratifies nor rejects nor return the bill, but simply keeps the bill pending for an indefinite period. When no political party or coalition of the party enjoys a majority in Lok Sabha, then the President has discretion in the inviting the leader of a party or coalition of parties to form government, who in his opinion is able to form a stable government. When no political party or coalition of parties enjoys the majority in Lok Sabha, then the President has discretion in inviting the leader of that party or coalition of parties who in his opinion is able to form a stable government. The President can normally dissolve the Lok Sabha only on the advice of the Union Council of Ministers, but the advice is not binding on the President. If the government has lost majority, has resigned or is shaky and unstable, in all such cases the President can exercise his own discretion. It is for the President to decide if he should dissolve Lok Sabha or not when Council of Ministers loses the majority in Lok Sabha. Normally the President can dissolve Lok Sabha only on the advice of the Council of Ministers, but the advice is binding only if the government is a majority government. The President enjoys the right to seek information from Prime Minister regarding the administration of the affairs of the Union. Under Article 78, the President enjoys the right to seek information from the Prime Minister regarding the administration of the affairs of the Union. A caretaker government at the centre cannot take major decisions. The President can restrain such a government from taking such decisions. Caretaker government. Caretaker government is a temporary ad hoc government that performs some government duties and functions in a country until a regular government is elected. A caretaker government at the centre cannot take major decisions. It is the President to decide the day-to-day decisions. Reservation of a state bill for the assent of the president is a discretionary power of the governor of a state. In the case of a money bill so reserved, the president may either declare his assent or withhold his assent. But in the case of a bill other than a money bill, the president may, instead of declaring his assent or refusing it, direct the governor to return the bill to the legislature for reconsideration. In the latter case, the legislature must reconsider the bill within 6 months, and if it is passed again, the bill shall be presented to the president again, but it shall not be obligatory upon the president to give his assent in this case too. It is clear that a bill which is reserved for the consideration of the president shall have no legal effect until the president declares his assent to it. There is no mean of overriding the president's veto in the case of state legislation. In case of state bill, it is a discretionary power of a governor to reserve it for the president assent or not. But in money bill, he has to reserve it for president assent, and the president may declare his assent or withhold his assent. But in case of ordinary bill, the president may give his assent or refuse it, and also give instruction to the governor to return the bill to the legislature for reconsideration. And if the bill passed again and come to the president again, the president shall not be obligatory to give his assent, and the bill will not become an act until the president declares his assent. There is no rule of override the president's veto in case of state legislature. Limitations on the powers of the president. After a close study of the various emergencies cited above and the effects thereof, it appears as if the President of India can assume dictatorial powers if he so desires. But this is not true. Ours is a parliamentary form of government in which the President is only a titular head of the state. The enormous powers linked with his name are in fact enjoyed by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, who come from the Parliament and are answerable to the Parliament collectively. Thus, it is the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers who advise the President on the exercise of his functions. The President is bound by the Constitution to accept the advice of the Council of Ministers. In this way, the Council of Ministers, including the Prime Minister, imposes a limitation on the powers of the President. The President is the head of the state and not the head of the government. Therefore, he exercises only nominal powers, and that too on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider its advice, but if the same advice is given again, he or she is bound to act according to it. In this way, the Council of Ministers, including Prime Minister, impose a limitation on the powers of the President. Likewise, the Parliament also exerts certain limitations on the powers of the President. One such limitation is the approval of all proclamations of emergencies by the Parliament. If the Parliament does not approve them, then they become null and void. The Parliament also imposes a limitation on the powers of the President, like proclamation of emergency should be approved by the Parliament. If the Parliament rejects this proposal, then it becomes invalid. Even if a President bypasses all the checks and acts in a manner which is against the letter and spirit of the Constitution, he may be impeached and removed from his office. Hence, a President is bound to act within the provisions of the Constitution. If the President acts against the Constitution, he may be removed from his office. Position of the President. President exercises all his powers only on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The President does not have much real powers. His position is one of great dignity. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that the Indian President is the head of the state, but not of the executive. He represents the nation but does not rule the nation. The Indian President is constitutionally above the process of law. He has the right to be informed on all matters. With the emergence of coalition government, the importance of the president's discretionary powers is growing. A competent president can influence the shaping of national policies. The events of the last decade have shown that the president can play the key role of a guide and an independent voice within the parliamentary system. The president is the nominal executive of the country, also known as the titular executive. He is called as the nominal head of the nation. He is entitled to many powers but just in title. His powers can be put into practice with the consent of the Prime Minister and his council. He has the right to be informed on all matters. From last so many years, we can see that the president can play important role of a guide and an independent voice within the parliamentary system. Thank you.